Shalom and welcome to Menorat Hamaor-summary. This year is entitled Shavuot Tafshin Pei Aleph, a glorious night of learning. Baruch Hashem, for 20 years we have the minhag here. In Menorat Hamaor, many people learning throughout the night. Chavruta learning Shiurim throughout the night. What we do in our section in the shul is we have 6 Shiurim, one from each of the 6 Sidarim, from Zerah, Moy, Nashim, Zika, Kachim, Tahara, 20 minhag we have here in the shul. And just to get a taste of what we had, the Kabbalat Hatorah that we had, as Ram, we did Shemitah, the discussion of Heta Mechira, what a burning issue every 7 years we have over here. Heated arguments both ways. Just a taste of the topic is, when you sell the land of Israel, the guy owns the land of Israel, does that take away the Kedusha of the land? And therefore you could work the land. That's one major question. Another question is, that's something he owned for centuries, the guy. What if you sell it, Heta Mechira, for the year? What about Lo Tachanim? You can't sell the land of Israel. Is it a farce to sell? Question back and forth. The ramifications are huge. In Moed, the discussion in Moed was based on Tanio, where the Gemara says he should go ahead and when it's time of crisis, you cry out to Hashem and you blow. Chatzosos and Shofarot, you blow, one or the other. And we don't do that. We have crisis, middle of war now. People dying all over the place, tragedy after tragedy. We should be calling out to Hashem, which we're all doing. The Ram says part of the mitzvah is chatzosos. Why don't we do that? Someone says dafka chatzosos, for that we have special ones for the Mikdash. Some say it has to be with Kohanim, Yuchasim, that trace their lineage back. Some say only in Eretz Yisrael, where we're in Eretz Yisrael. It's only when the Jews are in control. Some say only when all of the Jews are being in Sarah now. Different shita, why we don't blow. A good question why we don't, but different shitas to explain it, but certainly crying out to Hashem for help, that we must do. In Nasha, we discussed Panu Chadashot, and in Ketuvot, Zainam Abed Chetabad Aleph, can woman be Chadashot? Woman comes over who couldn't make it to the wedding, and the couple is so ecstatic that she's there. Is she Panu Chadashot? So Pischei Shuvah says, not so simple, because she's not part of the minyan of that we need of the 10 people. You need 10 men, and she's not part of that. And therefore, Pischei Shuvah says she could not be part of the Panu Chadasha. An interesting discussion. Nezikin, we talked about Horiot, where the Beis Din Hagadol paskins, and they make a mistake, and they say something that's a doraita issa, that's kares, and they say it's mutter. And there's a dayan, a judge on the Beis Din, say this is wrong, it's a mistake. So when do we say that the dayan should not follow the Beis Din? When do we say he's a zakin mamre if he rejects the Beis Din? Fascinating discussion. Zerah, Moshe, Nashim, Zikim, Kodshim. In Kodshim's Midah, we spoke about the measurements of the Migdash, Yerushalayim, Azara. Can you expand that area? Mitzvah Hashem, all the Jews are going to be home, so we're going to have the Migdash. We're all going to be flocking to Yerushalayim. Can we expand? So the Rambam says there's a way in Hilchos Beis Bechira to expand the Azara area. There's a way to expand Yerushalayim. But he doesn't say anything about expanding Harabayit. So it seems that Yerushalayim and the Azara could be expanded, and the halachic status of the Azara could go out further. Yerushalayim, where we can eat Matzah Sheni and Kachikalim, that could be expanded, but Harabayit seems to be that's a fixed area. So that's fascinating to see. We have crowds coming soon, how the Sanhedrin is going to work on that one. And finally, Tarat Nida, we talk about mikvah. Fascinating. When should you make a bracha and go to the mikvah? So simple pshat is you make a bracha before you go to the mikvah. Yeah, and that's what the Shulchan Aruch writes regarding the woman, but the Ramah says make a bracha after. Just like a Gioret or Ger makes a bracha after, so too, that's what we do by Tefillah, which we should do by the Lisidayim as well. But the Ramah doesn't say what the Ashkenazim do today, which is the woman dunk, go to make a bracha and dunk again. That's the Ber Heitev quoting the Shlah. The Aruch HaShulchan says by doing that, you fulfill the mitzvah of either making the bracha before or after, because either way, it's sandwiched in between. Some folks going to say, well, what is that? I mean, once she goes to the mikvah, she's yotze already. So it's a nice discussion. Anyways, that's our little mini Kabbalat Hatorah that we have here in Me'or. And Mitzvah Hashem, everyone have an incredible Kabbalat Hatorah. Be strengthened with the connection to Torah, to Hashem, to mitzvot, to vacate in Hashem, closest to Am Yisrael. Mitzvah Hashem, we shall be in Am Yisrael.